Time is a-ticking as we head into the penultimate round of the BFBS Afvrc, and we are off to Silverstone tonight. Straight off the back of 2 for 2 for Stu McFadden last week at Oulton Park. What a race that was. Very much looking forward to tonight. Dave Chrisley here with you on the commentary, as always, joined in the commentary box again by the man, the myth, the legend that is Mr. John Knight. And John, welcome back. Second to last week now. This is starting to get a little bit nip-tuck now. This is what they call the business end of things here.
It is, yes, very much so. And I think we can probably safely say that the RF have already tied up the team championship. Probably had done quite a few weeks ago, but still all to play for in terms of the driver standings tonight. Although Ryan Martin, could go a long way tonight, couldn't he, to securing that title? But yeah, what fabulous racing we've had over the last few weeks on some great circuits. And tonight, well, it's the national course, isn't it, at Silverstone? So another challenge for all the drivers in a much shorter course than the Grand Prix circuit that we're used to seeing at the Northamptonshire track.
For sure, and the thing with it being, as you said, the national layout of the circuit, a much shorter version of it, I think that's going to add to the spice. The international layout can seem a little bit long, a little bit, drawn out for some of these races here. I think this is exactly the sort of powder keg that you want to have on this penultimate round, John.
It is, yes, and I'm very interested, obviously, to see what happens tonight. Obviously, we've got Donington National to finish with next week on the 2nd of May. But the season seems to have gone by so quickly. I don't know what you think, David, but it seems to have gone by so fast the last 9 weeks of really competitive racing. And it would just be very interesting to see how the drivers tonight are coping with the obviously they've got the qualifying that they're in at the moment, and I think we're looking forward to seeing really how that goes, and that could really give us a good idea of how things stand as far as the championship is concerned. Do you want to take us through that leaderboard of the championship, David?
Yep, there we go, leading on perfectly to the Drivers' Championship there. You can see Ryan Martin in the lead of the Drivers' Championship, 1,442 points. Chris Pawley in second place with 1,353. Tom Stevens a little bit further back with 1,143. So this is a make-or-break night tonight. I think that realistically Ryan Martin can put this beyond doubt, I believe, mathematically, at least with these two races here tonight, with 89 points between the top two right now. This is just such a crucial night. But again, it just shows one of the things that you've harped on about for the entire season, John, if you'll excuse my language, but consistency is absolutely crucial, and some of these drivers at the top showing it week in, week out.
No, they are, and even when they, have a problem in one of the races, they seem to come back even stronger in the second race. As you can see, the RF, miles ahead now, over 1,500 points clear or nearly 1,500 points clear in the team championship, with the Royal Navy second place, the Army slipping down into third place. But it's the consistency, I think, is the word, and it's staying out of trouble, because so often this season we have seen cars having problems or having real spats and challenges going on behind the leading two cars, and it's that staying out of trouble, I think, that has really helped Ryan Martin so much this year.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's what he's going to hope for again tonight here, as we're watching Ryan Abbott's going through the right-hander there, through the Old Abbey complex. The thing with this track as well is, obviously, we look to be a little bit down on numbers as the season comes to its end, and one of the other things that we've noticed is that through previous seasons, obviously a lot of operational availability has been playing havoc with some of the drivers being able to be available. But this season, listen, we have been spoiled with regular grids of 25 plus cars on for every single round of the season. So, I do have to take my hat off to appreciate the determination for the entirety of the field here. But given how important tonight is, I think qualifying is going to be massively, massively important. And I'm just having a look at the times here, and I'm not seeing Ryan Martin.
No, and it's quite possible that obviously with all the events that are going on in the world at the moment, it is quite possible that some of our top drivers are simply not available because they're doing their jobs tonight. There's an awful lot of things going on, of course, as far as Sudan is concerned, and major operations to get people out, and that is involving a lot of our forces personnel. So the guys who you would normally see here doing the job tonight are probably elsewhere and doing what they are paid to do, and that says it all, doesn't it? Really, that says it all in terms of what our people do, what our forces people do. But I think you're probably right about Ryan Martin, that he probably is otherwise engaged this evening, David. Honestly.
Well, a hell of a stark reminder of the seriousness and the sacrifice given by these men and women to be able to come here and enjoy a little bit of their downtime, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still one rather large and united team, even if they do wear slightly different colours for the different forces that they represent. And it's quite an awesome thing to consider, if that is the case, that many of these drivers are actually away doing other national duties. So yeah, if that is the case, thank you very, very much for your service, which is something we'd obviously be saying anyway, but it's a little different context here tonight, and it's maybe a little bit lucky for some of the other drivers, but that does mean now, if that is the case, I am just giddy with excitement, because that now means that Donington, John, is going to be one of the closest final rounds I think we've ever had, and that is basing on that Chris Pauly does well here and scores some good points.
Yeah, indeed, and don't write Tom Stevens up, but I think it really is between Chris, isn't it, and Ryan, really, for the title. And it will be probably quite tough on Ryan. Obviously, if he is missing tonight, and he could well be missing next week as well. So, our thoughts with him tonight. And but as you say, it is a real opportunity for Chris Pauly to stake his claim and to get in there and maybe sneak a championship that maybe he wasn't expecting.
Certainly will. So also had our apologies from Craig Dunn, who won't be making it home in time, so that is why he is not able to jump in just now. He might be able to jump in for race 2, so we'll certainly see. But qualifying underway then here at the Silverstone National Circuit here for the penultimate rounds of the BFBS Afvrc. It's currently Will Fox in the lead at the moment, in pole position ahead of Bollins, and then in third place with the likes of Michael Clough. Cloughy, though, we were speaking about this last week, John. Cloughy has had a remarkable resurgence in form. This is the driver that we kind of know and love from previous seasons, and shown exactly what he has got in that tank. We've seen a bit of it a bit of evidence of it over the last few weeks. But I think the trouble with Michael this year has just been so inconsistent. We've talked about consistency, haven't we? He's just been so inconsistent, really, over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've only just started seeing that really develop now over maybe the last couple of races, and I'm for one, I'm really pleased to see, because he's an exciting driver and he loves it, but it's been more like a Dodgem track for him. There's some of the problems that he's had with his with his car and shunts and goodness knows what, but who knows, we'll maybe tonight again we can see him the very best of Michael Clough, 4th at the moment in qualifying, Chris Boland 3rd, Stu McFadden up there again. And didn't Stu have a great week last week, winning both the races last week to really give himself a bit of a boost towards the end of this championship? Yeah, and it's been a bit hit and miss with Stu as well in terms of the luck. He certainly seems to have the performance, but decides to get himself involved in other people's misfortunes. But great to see that. He'll be hoping to try and get some more points, possibly try and get himself up onto that podium in terms of the championship as well. And while we're only focusing at the moment on Ryan Martin and Chris Pawley down there in 7th position just now, I mean, mathematically, I'm not going to write Tom Stevens out. Well, no, I am going to write Tom Stevens out because he's not in Surfer either tonight. So he's done and dusted. It is firmly a two-car battle for second place. Again, just so many different little fights going on. Also looking further down that championship order as well, because there's an amazing battle going on between 4th and 11th position. So between 4th and 11th, you're separated by about 232 points. Now, given that we've got, 4 races still to come here, John, there is an awful lot of positions up for grabs still at this late stage of the season.
There will indeed be, yeah, and that will be an incentive for all the drivers in that clump, I suppose we could call it, couldn't we? That group of drivers to really, show what they can do in these last couple of races. And I think it's absolutely amazing. It could be a terrific end to the season.
Well, that is what we have to cross our fingers and hope for. We've got 4.5 minutes left to go in qualifying just now. Will Fox in the lead, Stu McFadden in 2nd position, Chris Boland in 3rd position, and then in 4th at the moment is Michael Clough. Chris Pawley, your championship contender, down in 5th position. Now, one other thing here with Silverstone at the national circuit, we start off going into turn 1, going into Copse Corner. How high is the potential for a little bit of chaos, do you think?
Well, I mean, you can never write it off. We have talked actually recently about the discipline of the drivers, but there seems to have been an awful lot of issues, with the first bends. Last week was a classic example, with first bends really being an issue, and there are a lot of coming togethers, but I think hopefully tonight we'll have a clean start. That's the hope anyway.
Fingers crossed, and every single wooden surface in this office is being made sure that we avoid that one for sure. 2 minutes left to go then in qualifying as we're watching Chris Slater going side by side with another car. Traffic is a bit of an issue here for this qualifying session. You're seeing a lot of different cars all over the track. Some of them providing a nice little bit of tow here, but this is something that we've seen quite a few times through qualifying through the course of the season. Stu McFadden now on his outlap. Looks like Will Fox might be happy with the job done there, 0.2 of a second up ahead of the entire field, but Stu McFadden has just done his outlap. I think he's going to try and see if he can maybe sneak in a pole position lap here.
As he does, as we've seen him regularly do this season. But Will, that's only 0.2, isn't it, of a second, the difference between the two. So, yeah, Stu McFadden has an opportunity, but there's still, just a couple of minutes to go. So there's an opportunity for Chris Boland as well, and Michael Clough for that matter, because those differences are very, very narrow. So let's see what they can produce in these last minute and a half or so before the flag goes down on qualifying.
Well, let's see if we can stay on board with Stu McFadden then. He's coming round the right-hander at Luffield then to start another lap as he goes across the start-finish line very shortly. Just still coming through Woodcote just now. It's about, 1:04 is about the lap time that we're doing here just now. So McFadden will potentially get another lap in. He will get another lap in after that one, possibly even 2 more laps actually. He might make it across the line here. No, it'll just be the 1 lap after this, excuse me. So Stu McFadden then, he's got a tow at the moment. This is coming through Maggots and Beckett's, obviously trying to get a little bit of a run from that car in front. He's going to be a little bit held up there through the right-hander where it would normally be into Maggots and Beckett's, and then through onto the back straight there on the Hanger straight. Turns right round. This is onto the Wellington straight again now, so it's immediately on the run down to Brooklands as well. Again, any handicap that he's been given by that other car that was in front of him, that will be very quickly relayed, because he will get another lap in here just now. But he's coming through, sawing at the wheel there. You can see that on the left hand side there, yanking the wheel from right to left to right, again trying to get any sort of traction from this Toyota GR86. It's going to be very difficult to see if he gets any sort of improvement on this lap round here, but he comes across the line there, and Stu McFadden does a 105.09. But this is it now, John. This is his last chance to try and take pole here.
I'm just thinking that if it hadn't been for that hold-up, I think Stu would have actually grabbed the pole position there. But let's just see what he can do, because this, he's got an open track at the moment. There's no one else there in front.
Oh, that was a huge wobble. Huge wobble there. Yep.
It's gone. So it looks like Will Fuchs has probably secured that pole position.
Yeah, and of course.
Yeah. Luke Arpino's still out there, so maybe he's going to make a late challenge.
We'll wait and see, but I don't know if Luke is going to be able to fire that car right up to the top there. He might be able to get a couple of positions there, but again, it's whether or not he's got time, because the checker flag flies, and then it's up to iRacing how long is a grace period they're allowed to get after it. I think you will get across the line. Ben Weston, though, coming through Luffield and Woodcote then to try and sneak a final lap in here. He's currently 1.2 seconds down, no personal best. He's straight into pit lane. I don't think he's going to get another lap in, as Luke Arpino looks to be one of the final cars out there on circuit. Dan Hardwick as well into the pits. But there you go, checkered flag flies in. We've got Luke Arpino just trying to see what's going to happen there. Again, Will Fox, though, on pole position, 64.391 with Stu McFadden in second place. Chris Boland in third position, with Cloughy in fourth position. As you can see, Luke Arpino into the pit. So that is qualifying done and dusted ahead of race 1. Well, there we go. 4 races left to go in the season. We're about to get underway with the first one, but yeah, fantastic qualifying session there. I think Will's going to be very, very happy indeed. Stu McFadden as well on that front row of the grid. But here is your lineup then for the first race. Chris Boland is going to line up on row 2 in P3 alongside Cloughy in P4. Chris Pawley, your championship protagonist, starts in P5. He's going to be hoping for some big points tonight. Luke Arpino in 6th position, with Ollie Wained in 7th alongside Adam Barn in the RAF car in 8th position. Dan Berris is in 9th with John Finch in 10th. Chris Slater and Jez Banks start just on the cusp of the 10th position. They're just outside the top 10 on row number 6. Then it's Stu Etick with Colin Scott. Steve Ward in 15th with Ben Weston in 16th, Dan Hardwick in 17th, Adam Waters in 18th, and then on 19th it's Ryan Abbott, Glenn Griffin in 20th position, David Russell in P21 as well. So round 9 here of the BFBS Afvrc, we are on the grid, ready to go racing. The lights are about to come on here at Silverstone National, and we are away to go racing. For the second last round of the season, the first of 2 races. More connection issues there for Stu McFadden. Tucks in to hold on to that second place. They're all into Cobb's Corner, side by side though. Cloughy and Pawley, that is also dangerous on the first corner there. But I tell you what, Clough trying to hang it round the outside. He's done a great job, 3 wide going into that corner there. Predictable contact, and well, you play silly games, John, and you get silly prizes.
And Stu McFadden has just made the most of that, hasn't he? Oh dear, what a shame. And Chris Pawley down to 21st place. Michael Clough actually 21st place. Will Fuchs got that lead back. McFadden is there in second, and Adam Barron making the most of it in third place. And McFadden, this is a real battle between these two, isn't it? It looks like it's going to be nip and tuck between these two throughout the whole race. And look at Darren Berris up there to fifth. They played fifth, Crime for fourth. Adam Barron third. Luke Arpino in fifth place. So, really interesting at the top of the race. And you did say, didn't you, David, there was a chance we might see some shenanigans right at the start of the race? Well, you're quite right.
I mean, 3 wide into Maggots. I just don't understand what the logic was behind that one. Still, racing driver's going to race and drive, I think, here, John, as we're seeing Stu McFadden in the lead of the race and Will Fox in second position. Now, I tell you what, Will is giving him a run for his money right now. I'll tell you also what this does is that this means that Chris Pauly is in a massive disadvantage as Luke Arpino just tries to send it round the outside of Dan Berris. You're kidding me. He's got that done. That was a move and a half. Brilliant. Well done from Luke.
A brilliant bit of driving there. But Chris Pauly is now having to drag himself up through the field, currently 18th place. We're looking at him because he really is the challenger to Ryan Martin tonight in the championship. Ryan, who's not competing, or certainly not in this first race anyway. So he's really got the chances, Chris, but rather blew it there right at the beginning. Let's just see whether he can work his way through to make any more ground. But Will Fuchs and Stu McFadden made a really good start here. Adam Barron now up to third place. Luke Arpino in fourth. It's getting very, very exciting.
Oh my lord, I heard all those words about Chris Pauly. I've got to be honest, none of them registered because I'm too busy watching what on earth is going on here with Stu McFadden, Will Fox and Adam Barron right now. This is an epic scrap for the lead of this race. It's a 3-car fight right now. Don't discount Luke Arpino because the way these three are fighting out, he is going to get brought into the mix as well. Have a look at Will Fox there. He's learned his lesson, has Stu McFadden round into the left-hander for the third time of asking. Have a look at Adam Barron. Up the inside there goes Will Fox into the lead of the race again. Oh my goodness me, this is topsy-turvy stuff. Swings and roundabouts, folks. Swings and roundabouts. Stu McFadden tries to go up the inside. Fox has to give him a tiny little bit of room. And yet again, they come across the line side by side. This is amazing racing here, John.
It's fantastic racing. And these two really are giving us a treat, aren't they? Look at it. Absolutely neck and neck. There's absolutely nothing between them. Stu McFadden has grabbed the lead again. No. Will Fuchs has taken it back. But who knows what's going to happen? They go through the Baggett curve as they head out onto the hanger straight now, and oh dear, it's looking very, very, very exciting and very, very difficult to call. Really difficult to call.
Big collision further back. Jess Banks, Adam Waters, and I believe that is Steve Ward caught in that as well. As McFadden goes to the outside, and there goes Will Fox again up the inside here. This is just mayhem, and there's Luke Arpino. It's in a 4-car, 5-car, 6-car battle for the lead here, and we're less than a third of the way into the race. Stu Etic has come into a collision there further back in the field. He's dropping down the order. That now moves Chris Pauly up into P15, so he's making his way up here. But my goodness me, this is just it's like mainlining adrenaline right now. This race is this is probably one of the best races we've had this season. 5-car fight for the lead, 6-car fight for the lead. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely. Chris Slater up there to 6th as well. This is probably the highest he's been for a long time. Ollie Wayne in 7th, with Abbott's in 8th, and the way it's just look at the distances. There's nothing between these cars at all, and this race could go either way. But Fuchs and McFadden having a right old ding dong, aren't they? Look at those two. They're almost like sort of in parallel with each other. They're like these slimline swimmers, aren't they? The ones that you see doing the gymnastics in the water. It's incredible.
It really is. In tandem, in perfect harmony. It reminds me of myself. It reminds me of professional drifting when you see like 2 cars mirroring each other, going at like 80 miles an hour, loads of smoke coming off. the precision by these drivers. We saw it 2 laps ago when McFadden and Fox were side by side going through Copse Corner, and McFadden had that inside line. The level of trust, the level of respect by these drivers, absolutely second to none. Beautiful, beautiful stuff to see. We've hit that 1/3 part of the race just now. As you can see, Adam Barron trying to get past a lapped car here. Now this is where the issue is here, because Fox last lap was the first lap that he led into that left-hander here. But this is where we're going to see here. He tries to squeeze Stu McFadden out to the outside there, and you've got a lapped car trying to get itself out of harm's way, but trying to be competitive as well. As McFadden tries to fire it up the inside, has to get a little bit of room there. Almost contact here, but I think Will Fox is going to live to tell the tale another day here. Again, I just cannot take my eyes off of what on earth is going on here. How the hell is Chris Pauly taking another 3 positions there, John, in 1 lap? Pauly's up to 12th place now.
I know, he's really making a challenge, and he realises he's really got to go for it, doesn't he? And he's got plenty of time. We've only had 6.5, 7 minutes of this 15-minute race, so we're only sort of halfway through. So there's still a great opportunity, a great chance for him to get some valuable points that can bring him level, bring him up towards Ryan Martin in the championship. But it's going to take an awful lot to get past Will Fuchs and Stu McFadden tonight. It really is, the way they're driving at the moment. Unless, of course, they take each other out.
let's not discount anything at this point. It's already been a crazy start to the race, though. But you can see Fox and McFadden weaving all over the back straight there, just to try and break the toe. McFadden, I think, is just waiting his time here before he makes a move. Barton, Arpino and Beres and Slater, they've been dropped back by about a second from this lead group. I think that was coming across that lapped car, but I think they're going to catch up very, very quickly indeed, especially if McFadden tries to make a move here. This is thrilling stuff here. We're about halfway through the race then. 8 minutes gone in this 15-minute race here. The first of 2 here at Silverstone National. Dave Christie and John Knighton on the commentary here for you, as always, through the remainder of the season here. And quite honestly, John, I just do not know how this is all going to pan out. I think McFadden's maybe calmed it down a little bit. He's definitely wanting to try and put a little bit of pressure on here. But have a look at Luke Arpino. He wants to have a go on Adam Barron here. And the car's weaving from left to right here, trying to avoid any ability for cars to get any sort of overlap whatsoever here. And that might have been a mistake from Adam Barron. Luke Arpino fires it up the inside. So close to the front of that car there. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, really close. You're quite right that Stu McFadden just sort of backing off a little bit, and we've seen this before with him. Backing off and then picking his moment. Just at the right spot. So I don't know, but look at Chris Pauly. He's now made up another place. He's just outside the top 10 now after that terrible incident that he suffered right at the beginning of the race. He's not far behind Colin Scott now, and Banks just ahead of him, and Abbott's ahead as well. Ollie Waned in 7th, Chris Slater maintaining his 6th place. But look at the weaving going on. McFadden and Fuchs, they're almost sort of dicing with each other, aren't they?
Oh, they quite possibly are just playing with each other at this point. The both of them obviously wanting to... I will not even talk about that. I think that might have been... was that Finch, I think it was, exiting stage left there. But yeah, McFadden is dancing about with Fox at the moment. Fox wants to hold on to this win. Let's make no mistake about it. And if that was me, listen, I am doing everything. Oil slicks, banana skins, everything is getting brought out to hold on to that top position there. Looking back at this battle then for 3rd position, you've got Adam Barron, Luke Arpino, Dan Beres and Chris Slater as well. They're all tight in the mix here as well. Chris Pauly now on the verge of getting himself into that top 10. He is there, as into 9th position, and Adam Barron still fighting out. Luke Arpino tried to send it up the inside here, but have a look at this then. So McFadden this time has just decided, I'm not going to do all this weaving. I'm going to just go and try and do my own thing here. I wonder if that's actually going to help him try and keep some top speed here, as we've got 2 3 wide into that left-hander. So very, very, very close. And that looked like Chris Slater was going to try and make it round the outside of all of them.
Yeah, it did. Didn't quite succeed, did he? He remains in 6th place behind Darren Berris. And, gosh, it's so tight, isn't it, with Fuchs and McFadden? Nothing between them at all. Just 0.1 of a second. Look at that. Look at those timings for that last lap. Literally, was it 2/20th of a second or something like that? Just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I thought that was going to be side by side into Mac. It's not quite, but McFadden just dips out of it. You've got side by side though. Here we go. Slater, Arpino, and Berris all duking it out there as well. Adam Barron leading that little group off just now, and they're going to come 3 abreast because, of course, why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Three abreast in Wellington Straight. This is what the BFBS Afvrc has been all about this season. Fantastic to watch, really entertaining to commentate on, and that is still side by side there as that looks like a car off onto the inside. I think that's a car that's lapped down there. I think that's Finch again, that's Russell, excuse me, that's been caught out there. So 3 and a bit minutes left to go here. You've got side by side Chris Slater and Darren Berris still duking it out. Sorry, that's Luke Arpino and Chris Slater here. Contact! The two of them taking each other out. I think that might have been Chris Slater that was involved in that. It looked like a bump from the rear there, and out goes Luke Arpino. He is going to be absolutely fizzing with that contact.
He is indeed, yeah. And well, I'd like to have another look at that actually, just see exactly what happened. Whether it was just a racing incident, but it looked a bit more than that. He just went literally hurtling off the track, didn't he? So that's not good news for Luke Arpino at all, as he drops right down to 21st place. Well, it looks like Chris Pauly has now made up to 8th, so he's now well into the top 10. Here we go. Oh, it was Chris Slater, wasn't it? It was. Oh, dearie me. He seemed to edge his way right across the track.
Yeah, that looks like a slam dunk case there, but again, that's up to the stewards to decide that one. Goodness me, that was. I feel kind of robbed by that, if I'm honest, because the amazing fighting that we were having going on there.
It was a great fight.
Also seeing Stu McFadden in. Further up the inside there, Fancy's having a go here at Will Fox, and Fox goes very, very wide on the exit of Maggott's corner then. So again, on the run down here, but McFadden just gets a poor exit out of there as we've got 2 laps left to go. You've still got a fight with Barron and Slater and Berris, so the duelling hasn't subsided whatsoever, even though we've lost one of the protagonists. This is Jess Banks onto the tail end of Chris Pauly. Not a chance of catching up Chris Pauly, and I think that this is going to be the most that Pauly is able to pull out right now. Yeah. Have a look at this. Stu McFadden though, as they come around the right hander at Woodcut then for the penultimate time. This is, I believe, is this going to be the final lap? We'll find out in just a second. I think we'll maybe have one more to go after this one here, but yeah, what a race this has been. And McFadden, it's going to have to be now or never then. It's going to have to be a lunge if he wants to make it. And I want to know points-wise, is he actually completely mathematically out of contention? Sent up the inside, locks up the brakes, clips the curb on the inside, and I think that is going to be the day done for Stu McFadden in that second place there. Yeah,
and it looks like Adam Barron's going to take the 3rd place, and Chris Slater on for his best finish of the season in 4th place as well. So good news as far as Chris Slater is concerned. Darren Berris, again, he's been really improving as well, hasn't he? As the weeks have gone by, he's had some podiums recently. Got a 2nd place a couple of weeks ago, and there he is in 5th place at the moment. But still, on this last lap, anything can happen. Will Fuchs very, very happy with himself there.
And there we go, comes round the final corner. It's going to be a race win for Will Fox. Stu McFadden takes 2nd place. Adam Barron is just going to finish in 3rd with Chris Slater in 4th position. Dan Berris in 5th. Ollie Wayne in 6th position. So, John, listen, that was a a manic race, but I'll be honest with you, I think there's going to be a lot of scores to settle in this second race here.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's going to be. Yes, there's going to be a few challenges out there, shall we say, for the drivers. But yeah, very, very exciting first race tonight. This is race 15 of this 20-race series. So yeah, an awful lot of driving still to be had. A lot of things to go. But great driving from Will, who obviously started in pole position. A real battle with Stu McFadden throughout the competition, throughout that race. They were the top two drivers from qualifying, and they have got the top points tonight in this first race.
Do we secretly mention the fact that Chris Pauly actually lost that position to Jez Banks right on that last lap there? Banks took that position by 0.04 seconds, and it was quite literally pipped at the post.
The post.
By Jez Banks there. So confirmation there. Will Fox takes the win from Stu McFadden there. Adam Bam in third position. Chris Slater in fourth. Dan Berris in fifth. Ollie Wayne in sixth. Ryan Abbott in seventh. Jez Banks in 8th position. Chris Pauly finishing in P9. That is going to have huge championship implications, but we'll double check that as soon as we can. Adam Waters in 10th position. Colin Scott finishes P11. Chris Boland finishes in P12. Glenn Griffin in 13th. It's then Steve Ward in 14th. Ben Weston in 15th. Dan Hardwick in 16th. John Finch and David Russell finishing a lap down. It's then Michael Cloughy, Stu Etic and Luke Arpino not finishing the race. Cloughy in that 19th position there. Again, just, oh no, so he did finish, so it's a couple of laps down there for Stu Etic and Luke Arpino. You saw, I think he just alt F4'd after that collision a couple of laps from the end there. You can completely understand that, but a lot of, how shall we say, a lot of talking points over that first race. Let's check the reverse grid though for our second race of the evening, and it is a top 6 reverse grid. That means pole position is going to go to Ollie Waynes. So Ollie is on pole position for our next race that is coming up very, very shortly. So John, I mean, what did you make of that first race then?
Well, I think very much as you. I think it was the sort of race that dogfighting, I suppose, is the word to describe it. There were quite a lot of serious mistakes there, and I know that one person is going to be absolutely fuming really about it is Chris Pauly, because he had such a chance there to really make up some good times and really make a challenge for Ryan Martin, but he failed, and that was maybe they were just a bit sort of headstrong at the beginning, which caused that. But all credit to the top two there, to Will and to Stu for a great battle, but a very disciplined battle. There was never any indication that those two were going to lose it on the track, so they did really well. But yeah, a lot of talking points, as you say, and I'm sure quite a bit of intrigue for the stewards to get their teeth into in the coming days.
Well, I think what I'm finding most worrying, John, is the fact that the driver's chat is absolutely silent right now. So yes, take that as you will. But what that means is we're going to have lots to talk about when we do come back. We're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we'll have live coverage of race 2. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the penultimate rounds of the BFBS Afvrc, live here from Silverstone National. Dave Christie and John Knighton here with all of the action. A thrilling race one that we've had on the go. A great race win there, nonetheless, for our fantastic Will Fox in the 131 machine. Stu McFadden in second place. Now, we were doing some mental arithmetic over the break, and what we were working out there, John, is the fact that if Chris Pauly wins this one or gets second place, that puts him in to the lead of the championship. But we'll come back to that in a second. Here is a very quick run through the grid then. John Finch on pole position with Glenn Griffin in second place. Stu McFadden showing in third. Not sure about that one. Chris Pauly showing in fourth position. Ollie Wayne and Darren Berris in that. I've got a slightly different one. It's Ollie Wayne on pole position. There we go. Darren Berris in second, Chris Slater in third, Adam Barron in fourth, Stu McFadden in fifth, Will Fox in sixth, seventh is Ryan Abbott, since Jez Banks, Chris Pauly alongside Adam Waters, Colin Scott alongside Chris Boland, Glenn Griffin alongside Steve Ward on row 7. Row 8 is going to be Ben Weston and Dan Hardwick, John Finch and David Russell on row 9. Row 10 is Michael Clough and Stu Etick and Luke Arpedo starting from the back of the grid in P21. He will be having guts for garters tonight. He will be wanting his revenge. Let's go racing. We are ready to go then. Just waiting for the lights to come on. Here we go then. The lights are on the Canterbury Bridge for the final time tonight. It's a great start for Ollie Wayne. Great start for Dan Berris as well. They're going to be going side by side. And look at Dan Berris. Look at Stu McFadden trying to make moves up the inside there as Dan Berris takes the lead going into Cops Corner. We've got 4 cars going a little bit further back there. I think that was Cloughy, Hardwick involved in the background there. So they've all managed to get through it. Stu McFadden up to P6 just now as we're still going 3 wide in the first corner. Clearly we've not learned anything from the first race here, John. And I've got to be honest, I'm pretty close to having an aneurysm here with all the stress.
Well, I don't know about that. It's I think for us it's quite simple, isn't it, watching, but for the drivers I think there must be quite a bit of stress going on out there, and certainly some stress on their cars. But yeah, Darren Berris, what a good start for him. You know, he's made the most of that opportunity from second on the grid. He's taken it. Will Fox is just behind him, and Ollie Wayne in third place. But lots of shenanigans going on behind them at the moment. Look at it; it's absolutely nip and tuck going into these first few bends.
Yeah, and this is the thing that we have to keep an eye on. Chris Pauly in that 5th position, side by side. Round the outside goes Darren Berris Will Fox to try and take that position, from Dan Berris. I think he's got it done. They're still side by side as they're going to come up through Maggots and then through into that right-hander to go onto the national loop here. Back onto the Wellington Straight. This is an absolute dogfight. Look at the run that Chris Pauly has got. He's going to try and take at least 2 cars here. What a run from Chris Pauly, your championship protagonist here. Tucks in behind Adam Barron as Will Fox jumps back to the lead, and Dan Berris trying to make moves here. This is just an epic start to the race. 2 minutes in already, and you get the feeling that there's a lot of pressure here as firing up the inside there. I get the feeling that was Stu McFadden up the inside of Ollie Wayne there. We'll get an idea on that just very shortly. Indeed it was, as Ollie Wayne gets into that 6th position here. So Chris Pauly up into P4. You get the impression that he wants to make a move here. Luke Arpedo though, John, up into P12.
Yeah, he's made a bit of a move, hasn't he? He's done really well. Chris Slater seems to have just lost out a bit. He's down in 5th at the moment, and Darren Berris just settling in behind Fuchs at the moment in 2nd place. But yeah, you're quite right. I mean, considering Luke had that terrible end to his race, he's making real ground, and we'll hope that he can go even further. But Chris Boland just making a move then on where he is. Here's Steve Ward. What's been going on there? Ooh, a bit of a skater's waltz from Steve. And that won't do him any good. Won't do his tyres any good, will it, at this early stage in the race?
Yeah, I think the less said about that one, the better. If I'm honest with you, as Chris Boland and Stu McFadden getting shuffled further down the order. Jez Banks is having an absolute nightmare race too right now. He's towards the back of the order. David Russell is into pit lane, but this is the battle for the lead then of the race, as Will Fuchs is well and truly ahead. He's got a second over Darren Berris now, who is caught in this fight between Adam Barron and Chris Pawley. So Pawley now up into P3. He's going to have to be very, very careful here, because Pawley is desperate to try and get these positions here. But again, you know, it's just a very, very dangerous thing. And there you go, Adam Barron into the side of Darren Berris there. Berris loses out and ends up going further and further down the order there. So a little bit of contact there, and he is most definitely not happy about that. However, Pawley, making hay while the sun shines there, goes right the outside of the two of them and is having absolutely nothing to do with it. Yeah,
and he's up to second as well, and that is significant. If he were to take the lead here and hold on to the lead, then we think you certainly think by your much better mental arithmetic than me.
Steady with that one, John. Let's not play that up too much.
He could take the lead in the championship tonight, so everything to play for. But he's still just over 2 seconds behind Will Fuchs at the moment.
By my really, really dodgy mathematics, I think Pawley is in the lead of the championship as he stands right now, with 1 point being the difference between Pawley and Ryan Martin as it stands. If he was to get first, I think he would consolidate that lead in by another 5 points at least. So that would take it up to about 6 points, 6 or 7 points, depending on the fastest lap. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The third part of the race, 1/3 distance covered already. Will Fuchs is off to the races. He's got a 2 second lead over Chris Pawley, who's got a 1.5 second lead over Chris Slater. Adam Barron in 4th position. Stu McFadden in 5th. Chris Boland is, I'm not sure where Chris Boland was going off to there, but there's a corner there and there's an apex there that Chris will voyage off to try and find next time round here. He is behind Stu McFadden and Adam Barron, and again it's another case of like a 6-7 car fight here for positions. Stu McFadden desperate to try and move here, and I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on here.
Yeah, there certainly is. And if I were Chris Pawley, I would just sort of, try and hold position at the moment, rather than trying to do anything, too sensational here. It is so close. It is so tight. Look at Stu McFadden up now to 4th place and Chris Slater in 3rd. But Will Fuchs he's now just building up a little lead again. 2 seconds. He's already won the first race tonight, so he'll be feeling very confident on this Silverstone National circuit. Great performance from him. Stu McFadden has now moved up to 4th. Adam Barron is now in 3rd place, overtaking Chris Slater. So it's just nip and tuck, all change really in the positions. But Will is in a good position here.
He certainly is. We've got a car going slowly there. I think that is Ollie Wayne. There's Slater and McFadden and Barron are all fighting out here. Stu McFadden was all the way up to P4, as you said there, and then just got caught out on the outside there as trying to duke it out with Chris Slater as well here. You get the feel this is like very, very aggressive driving here, John. I would not be surprised if one of these cars is going to be making a visit to the pits.
There's a few flashing lights going on as well, but so far, Chris Boland having a bit of a wobble, I think we saw there, and that's going to cost him, I think. It's going to maybe cost him a place here. Chris Slater has gone back up to 5th again. John Finch moving up as well ahead of Chris Scott, and Ollie Wayne. Michael Clough moving up ahead of Ollie Wayne as well into 7th place. So all change on the track here. But Will Fuchs is maintaining and just increasing his lead, 2.3 seconds now. So he's just keeping out of trouble at the front there, and let the fun and games go on behind him.
Certainly is. So, and that's off the inside. I did say somebody's going off to the pit lane, and that looks like it's Ollie Wayne who has volunteered himself so selflessly to remove himself from that battle there. We'll see the replay, see if there was a little bit of a helping hand, a little bit of assistance there to Mr. Ollie Waynes. But nonetheless, we still go racing then. In fact, let's look at that broadcast producer straight on it there. Robin Salton wins for poor Ollie Waynes as we see the car bouncing off the barrier. He'll be very happy that it's a virtual car and not a real car after that one. Adam Barlow is right onto the back of Stu McFadden as well. Stu doesn't look like he's going to be making any inroads into that fight for second position here. Let's have a look what happened with Ollie Waynes. Yeah, a little bit of contact from that car behind, and that pushes the car into the barrier. That is, I think that might be, was that Luke Arpino? Actually, Luke's further down, yeah. Cluffy, that's not a name that we normally see associated with being involved in incidents, is it? Well, not causing incidents, rather.
Absolutely not. Difficult for Ollie. He'll claw his way back though. He's already he's up there into 19th, so he's trying to catch up with Adam Waters and David Hardwick as well, Dan Hardwick. Will Fuchs still has that lead, and as you see, it's increasing as well by half a second on the last lap. He's up to 2.7 clear now of Chris Pawley. Stu McFadden is 3 seconds behind as well, so there's still lots to play for in these podium positions, but can Chris Pawley make his way to the front? That's the big question we want to be asking.
Well, yeah, that's one of the questions. The other one is, does he want to make it? It's Chris Slater. Tokyo Drift tries to hold round into the corner there. You've got Cluffy off in sympathy just as well. He rejoins onto the track as well, but that means that Chris Slater is all the way down out of the top 10 there. And, well, you hate to see it, but 5 minutes left to go in this race. And now what was looking to be a 6-car fight for 4th position has now kind of fizzled out. We've got Stu McFadden and Adam Barnes still nose to tail for that 3rd and 4th position. But it does look like that it has all petered out outside of that just now. But like you say, Chris Pawley, again, it's whether or not he wants to go for it. I don't think he needs to. He can just kind of hold on there in that second place, knowing that he's getting some great points. It's only 5 points is the difference between 1st and 2nd place anyway. So, if it's me, I'm just bringing the car home.
I think that would be the sensible thing to do, and let's go for a final race shootout with Ryan Martin next week for the championship. That's, of course, assuming that Ryan is available to drive, and it would be most unfortunate if he weren't. But that's to think about next week at Donington Park. The last vestiges, the last 5 minutes or so of this race here at Silverstone. The last time we'll be at Silverstone this season. And Will Fuchs, he's just increased, it's actually increased, isn't it, to 3.3 seconds over Chris Pawley, and Stu McFadden just tucked in there in 3rd place. Adam Barron is chasing him, he's close behind, and Michael Clough is just behind him. Luke Arpino has made his way back up the field as well. He's in 7th place now as well, so he's done pretty well too.
Yeah, great recovery drive from Lukey up there into P7, as you pointed out there. I do think that Pawley is just managing this race that's consistently lapping about 0.4 of a second slower than Will Fuchs right now, as we see Adam Barnes switching again to the outside line here, trying to take this position like candy from a baby from Stu McFadden, late onto the brakes in towards Brooklands, then around the outside. That's a daring move there, but McFadden's just going to close the door late into the brakes then. Again goes Adam Barron, kind of compromises himself coming out of the corner there, but so does Stu McFadden, and we go and tell the story all over again. McFadden, where we've seen him quite comfortable challenging for the lead of some of these races, I don't think he's gelled with this car tonight or this circuit here. There's just something that's really unsettled Stu McFadden, I think, here tonight, John.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Although, 3rd place, there's nothing wrong with that at all, of course. At the moment, if he can hold that 3rd place, maybe he'll be happy with that position. It's all gone a little bit quiet, isn't it? Although this is still a chase going on between Adam Barron and Stu McFadden. So that's really the most exciting bit so far. But if you're Chris Pawley, you're not bothered about it exciting. You just want to hang on in there and get those points.
You certainly do, as McFadden brakes earlier to try and tempt Adam Barn to go round the outside there. Barn is just sliding that car round left, right and centre, tries to fire it up the inside, forces a little bit of room for himself there. Stu McFadden having absolutely nothing of it, gets a little bit of a run there, and that gap is now 0.6 of a second here, with just 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go in the second round of the penultimate round to the BFBS Afvrc Championship. What a season we have had here. It is setting itself up to be an absolute humdinger next week at Donington. Chris Pawley at the moment is now going to be 1 point ahead of Ryan Martin for the championship. Here comes Chris Boland trying to make a move onto Luke Arpino as Dan Hardwick goes a little bit further down. Wow, so I mean, yeah, I'm just trying not to watch what Chris Boland is doing there. I thought he was going to absolutely send it into poor Luke Arpino. I think Luke Arpino would have just quit the session completely if anything had happened there.
Yeah, I mean, you have nights like that. I don't even think nothing is going my way.
So this is confirmation. This is how the points were after race 1. So before race 2, as you see there, Ryan Martin is ahead of Chris Pawley by what looks like 96 points, I believe it is. 94 points, sorry. So 95 points for second place. That's where I was saying about Chris Pawley taking the championship lead at the end of this race if it stays as it is. And we are now coming on to what's going to be the final lap of the race then. 14 and a half minutes there. Barnes still trying to close back up to Stu McFadden, but I think that goose is cooked. Fuchs is 4 seconds up the road ahead of Chris Pawley. Stu McFadden in third, Adam Barn in fourth position, but Boland and Arpino still duking out here, and I get the feeling that Arpino might start to get a little bit frustrated behind the wheel of that car. Nonetheless, 15 minutes have ticked over here at Silverstone. We come round the final couple of corners. It's a very, very happy Will Fuchs who's going to come across the line to win tonight's race number 2, as Chris Pawley is going to come across the line in second position. That secures him as your leader in the championship by my estimates there. Stu McFadden in third position, Adam Barn in fourth, Michael Clough in fifth position. And granted, we had a couple of little niggles there, but I think that was actually a much cleaner race 2 there.
Yeah, you suspected there might be a few fireworks going on there, and there weren't really, were they?
I was wrong, John. That's the word you're looking for. I was completely wrong. I'm just trying to be
tactful here, but it was actually a very clean race, as you say, and a very sensible race too. And I think you've got to hand it to Chris Pawley, because I think he worked out, look, let's get these points, and the fact that Ryan Martin not competing tonight has given him the chance, and he has grabbed it with maybe one hand, fair enough, because I think if he grabbed it with both hands, he could have been, well clear at the top of that championship rather than just 1 point.
And what a championship it has been then. Confirmation for the penultimate rounds of the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge. Will Fuchs takes the win in race number 2. Chris Pawley in second place. Stu McFadden in P3. Then in P4 it's Adam Barn. Michael Clough in P5. Ryan Abbott's in P6 with Luke Arpino in 7th position. Dan Beres finishes 8th. Stu Etic finishes 9th. John Finch finishes in 10th position with Colin Scott in 11th outside the top 10. Ben Weston in 12th, Chris Boland in 13th position with Chris Slater and Glenn Griffin finishing in 14th and 15th place respectively. Adam Waters is in 16th, Dan Hardwick is in 17th, Steve Ward in 18th, with Ollie Wayne crashing out into 19th position, 1 lap down. David Russell finishing 2 laps down, and Jez Banks having an absolute nightmare week here at Silverstone, finishing this race 10 laps down in 21st position. So that is how the race ends up tonight here, and John, very much looking forward to these driver interviews tonight. I know we're still waiting on some of the drivers just heading in and coming and having a chat with us, but again, a crucial week here, and a lot of stories that are going to be coming into Donington next week.
Yeah, I've just seen a little thing pop up actually from Ollie Wayne, who said, Michael Clough, I'll let you protest yourself about that incident.
Yeah, that was. I mean, the thing is like I said, Cloughy is from our experience, John. I think you'll say this as well. Cloughy is a very clean driver. He doesn't deliberately drive into anyone. He'll be one of the first to kind of let off the gas or put the foot on the brakes. But sometimes with these GR86s, contact is inevitable in these cars. I mean, you can still be found to be into the in the wrong for it, but they're very, very difficult cars to control here.
No one is waiting to be interviewed at the moment. I just wonder if this is a symptomatic of a tension that is being felt by all the drivers tonight.
I wouldn't say. Well, you can normally rely on Stu McFadden. Listen, Stu McFadden just likes any excuse to come in and have a blether. So he's always in, even if he's not on the podium, he'll try and come in for a chat. So I would expect to see them as well. But again, yeah, it's nobody's diving in. I'm starting to feel a little bit paranoid and self-conscious here, John.
No, we can talk amongst ourselves for a wee while, but I think that what this has done. And unwittingly, Ryan Martin is, by the fact that he can't be driving tonight, has really opened up this championship for such an exciting end, hasn't he? Really, it's. In fact, Adam Barron is now waiting to join us as well. So,
here they come. They've all decided to be fashionably late. Who would you like to have a chat with then, John?
Well, let's talk. And Chris Pawley too. So let's have a chat with Adam first, shall we? Adam Barron, who got a fourth place tonight and a third place in the first race. Adam, not a bad night's work for you, but some interesting driving out there tonight. We were just speculating really on whether the second race, whether people were holding back just a little bit, bearing in mind they wanted to get the points.
No, I don't think there was any holding back in that, blimey. If there's anything like I was going to go before. I've got to apologise to Dan Barris. I was just looking at the replay now. We had a bit of a coming together and it just looks like I bounced off the curb and slowly into him. So I've got to apologise for that. But yeah, that sort of track is definitely elbows out racing. But it was good. It was some of the people were missing to this week, obviously. So it gave the rest of us a chance to sort of fight up the front a bit.
Well, it certainly has. It's opened up the championship in many ways because it's that's just the way it is. But from your point of view, a fourth place in that race there, and then the third in the first race. So you'll be pretty pleased with your night's work.
Yeah, it's been a hard season. I'm always finishing fourth or just outside the points. I've had a few instances myself. So my first podium finally this round, penultimate, albeit. But yeah, it's been good. It's been a tougher year this year compared to last year. Obviously, we were in two different classes, and I was kind of up the front with Craig Durant in the GT4s. And this year has been a bit of a culture shock, but we're getting there. That's the main thing. We're getting there.
I mean, the racing has been so exciting. I mean, we've thoroughly enjoyed it tonight again. Really exciting racing, and from a driver's point of view, when you're all in the same car, that must make it, just add to the tension, add to the adrenaline rush, if you like.
Yeah, and obviously people have certain setups that they don't share. Some setups people do share. I'm not the biggest expert in setting up a car, so I'm pretty much using the same setup than I did at the very first race. So yeah, it will all be in the same car. There are a few differences here and there, but it would be interesting if we had a fixed setup race and to see where everyone is then, because expecting carnage sort of in races like this, if it was fixed setup, would be even worse.
Yeah, it certainly would. Well, thanks for your time this evening. Great to talk to you, Adam. Let's bring in Will Fuchs now, who I think he was having a few problems getting connected to us, but he's joined us now. And well, what a night for you, Will. 2 wins out of 2. That's not bad at all. You must be delighted.
Not bad at all. Yeah, evening, guys. Yeah, first race, wicked battle with Stuart. I think he messaged me. I didn't have time to message back, but yeah, that was a brilliant race. This track always gives the super close racing. It's all about the slipstream. So yeah, that was a really good race.
Well, you had a fairly clear victory in the second one. There, it was a real tight battle with Stu, obviously, in the first one. But once you grabbed that lead, he didn't look like surrendering it. To be fair.
No, who was it? Chris was trying to hang on, but I strung together about 5 pretty good laps, and he just fell out of the slipstream. I was pretty worried about him getting back in the slipstream, but he just fell out of it, so I was pretty comfortable from then on. But he's
Yeah, well,
definitely
you
got
were.
the pace more recently, though. So
Absolutely. In terms of the championship, obviously it's a bit late for you now, but lots of confidence maybe for the way that you can take into the full season as far as the real cars are concerned. I mean, is this a real help to you? When it comes to preparing for the season ahead.
yeah, I mean, I use sim racing. I've used sim racing. I've raced all my life in sims, and I do karting in real life. It just helps a lot on the sim to practice racecraft. That's the best thing a sim is for, racecraft. If you go into a certain track, I've done it before. If you go to a certain track, you can practice on the sim if it's got the right track, and that's always a great tool.
Indeed.
But yeah, good races.
Well, great results for you tonight. So congratulations on that, Will. Great night's work for you. Let's bring in now Chris Pawley, because Chris, by our mathematics, David's mathematics, I know, because he's much better than mine, you're actually leading the championship after tonight. So first race didn't exactly go your way, but the second one, that was a really good performance tonight to get that second place. And Chris, are you there? He's sitting there waiting in the commentary box, but
yeah,
no
I
sign.
can see him going off on mute, so he's probably just trying to adjust his audio settings quite frantically. So we'll give him a minute to get that sorted out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Chris, once you're able to join us, very interested to know about your strategy really in that second race, because you obviously he clearly held back towards the end, so aiming for getting the good points in the bag rather than pushing for the extra 5 points for the win. Chris, are you there? I keep seeing little things flashing up saying that you probably are, but are you there now? Chris, can you hear us? No, I don't think we're going to get hold of Chris tonight. So David, I mean, I think just to sum up, a fascinating night's racing tonight.
Yeah, really has been a fantastic night. We've got all the questions given to us for the championship. Obviously, with Ryan Martin not able to join us this week, leaves us a lot of things pondering next week. It all comes down to this 1 point for the championship lead. John, we couldn't have scripted it any better ourselves. It's so close. I'm going to be a couple of points out. We'll have a look on that. But either way, it's going to be so squeaky close between Chris and Ryan on that. I can hear them frantically working away behind the scenes to update the points as we speak. So I want to see.
Chris is there, isn't he? Yeah, I think Chris is there now. Can you hear us, Chris?
He's not actually.
Oh.
He got moved. Oh, there we go. Chris, are you available with us?
No.
No.
Okay,
we gave it a try.
Tried. We did, but we think you did really well there, Chris. Anyway, if you're listening, and there is the championship. So maybe you can go through that for us, Doug.
Right. So there's where I was getting a little bit out of it, was the 3 drop rounds. So Chris Pawley then 14 points. That's still not a kick in the teeth away from that championship lead right now then. So Ryan Martin, as it stood before the drop rounds, was going to be in second place by 1 point. But either way, Chris Pawley now just 14 points off the lead of that championship for that final round at Donington. That is going to be very, very crucial. But have a look, John, as well, down to 4th position. Tom Stevens, Will Fuchs, Dan Berris, Chris Boland and Adam Barron. That is squeaky close between those 5 drivers there.
Isn't it just? Yeah. It's what we expected, really. I mean, at the beginning of the season, with all these cars being so similar to each other, I think anything other than a close championship would have been ridiculous, really, wouldn't it? So that is no surprise to me, anyway.
It really isn't. But there we go. That is all we have got time for tonight. Confirmation that we are going to be back here at the same time next week on the 2nd of May for the grand final of the 2023 BFBF's Afvrc. And a huge thank you, as always, to our commercial partners at BFBS, to at Splunk and at racecarradios.co.uk for providing support for this championship this season. A huge thank you to all of the armed services and, of course, to you at home. Most importantly, though, I've got to say huge thank you to John Knighton for joining me here in the commentary box. As always, another amazing week of racing here. I've been David Christie. Huge thank you to our broadcast team of Mike Yao behind the scenes from Sim Sport Solutions. Until next week, take it easy, get yourself rested up, because next week is going to be absolutely spectacular. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.